I'm from right outside of Dallas, Texas, and I went to small school for undergraduate. I went to Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida, and then now I'm here in the Interdisciplinary Studies PhD program. I was also here for the master's, so that's a program that you can combine two different disciplines. So I'm in English and in history, and so excited to be here.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. And I guess I did not introduce myself or hit record, so that's super fun. But my name is Caitlin Beard. I am the recruitment program director for the graduate school. I've almost been in this position 4 years, which is absolutely wild. And fun fact, Presley was one of the first students that I recruited. So it's great, full circle to have her here, along with our other awesome ambassadors that we have. Um, so yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. But our first question to get us going is why did you choose the University of Alabama? Other than me, of course, Presley. No, I'm just kidding.
I guess I can go first. I chose University of Alabama because I started my junior and then into my senior year, or really that sort of junior year, when I was beginning to think about graduate schools. And I was in a really interesting sort of small major program, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do exactly. I liked English and I liked history, and I couldn't make up my mind. And so finally, one professor in undergraduate told me, she goes, "Why don't you just try to combine both disciplines? If you love them both so much, why don't you just pursue a degree in both?" And I was like, I never thought about that. And so then I found University of Alabama. I contacted a bunch of different schools that had interdisciplinary studies programs, and nothing was as exciting as Alabama. I was also the first student to ever apply for this program for the master's version, and that was just so exciting to me that I could create the exact degree that I wanted. And I came here for a visit, and Caitlin was the one leading it. I just fell in love with the school too, so I knew it was where I was supposed to be.
Maybe I'll go second. So I think I've always gotten this kind of question, like especially when international students reach out to me through the graduate ambassadors um, platform. So they always want to ask me what is so exciting about UA, you know. So I always give them three reasons why I'm here. So I had a very fascinating experience while I was, doing my application. And so my program director then, although, I mean, unfortunately, she has moved to another university, amazing person, Dr. Shelton. So I remember like reaching out to her and she was like very swift, and very helpful. Like each time I email her, it doesn't take, I mean, it just within microseconds, she's responding to me and I'm like, wow, so it was a very, um, to me, I considered it very important because as at that time I was applying to so many schools, some professors would take like, you know, weeks, even months, to respond to you. So, and again, the kind of research I was interested in doing, I relatively, I mean, it was more like something that UA would give me like, hand over to me. So the kind of research I was interested in. That's another reason. And again, I also reached out, and I know then I reached out to at that time, one of the graduate ambassadors, Sunday Okafor. So he was also very helpful. So he was also like he told me a lot about the African community here. And I was really excited to like meet these, you know, um, group of Africans here in the US. So I was excited about that too. So I think another question I also asked then was like the cost of living because I had the privilege to be offered admission in three schools. Then I had in University of Florida, Clemson University, I think that's in South Carolina, and then UA, So I kind of like made investigations and asked like questions to my friends over here, and they're like, UA is like, reasonably, the cost of living here is very reasonable. And then I think I can testify to that here. So I mean, a whole lot of awesome reasons why I'm here.
My turn. So I chose UA. The main reason why I chose UA was I wanted to do a master's in like doing research. So I when I was looking at schools, I had schools that were doing research. So but I wanted to do plant related research and also molecular biology. And I found a lab, my current advisor. So her lab, what she does kind of aligns with what I wanted to do. So I reached out to her. And that was the main reason why I applied to UA. And then the other one was when you're an international student, you are looking at funding, and most of the schools that I was seeing, they were not funding master students, but then my program was funding master students, so I had to go for UA because I mean I didn't want to do with looking for funding elsewhere. So I chose to apply to UA and then I got in. And another thing is UA is very fun. There are a lot of activities. I had when I spoke to people, they told me like there were a whole lot of things that you can do to like feel at home. And they had like tied together, which I was so much interested in. I was like, oh, there's something for us. I'll not be on my own. So there's that. And I kind of felt gingered to apply to you and I applied and I've been here for I did my master's and I'm doing my PhD here. So yeah.
That is my cue to ask you guys the next question, which is going to be, how is the transition to graduate school? Kind of how did you prepare? And what surprised you about that transition? And I think it's great having both our international students here, but also Presley, who came from a very pretty small private institution. And even for me too, I came from a small public institution. So I have a different experience, but definitely having that different perspective. Go ahead and share, guys.
I can go first. I know for me it was very different. The school that I previously was at was like 2,500 students total, which is a fraction of the freshman class at Alabama. So I didn't really know much about huge SEC schools. I mean, I'm from Texas, but like I didn't go to any of those schools, so I didn't know anything about it. And at first I was so nervous about how many people were there. And I just remember when I first got here, I was like, no one knows who I am when I'm walking down the street. Like this is so weird and it's different. There's so many new people. And I ended up realizing that like you can still make a big school really small. And that's something that really surprised me. And I also didn't expect to fall in love with Tuscaloosa as much. Like it's a really fun little city and I love that SEC culture and the football and everything else. There's fun restaurants here and things to do. So I think I was surprised by that. And even though I'm a domestic student, I still didn't check the weather for Tuscaloosa. So I didn't bring a rain jacket or anything. So it does rain here in Tuscaloosa. I was coming from Florida. I was like, surely Alabama is not going to rain. It does rain here. So I would say for that transition, like actually check the weather, have an idea of what it looks like.
Yeah, so for me, it was an entirely new adventure, experience for me because that was going to be my first time traveling internationally, and making it even tougher. I'm going to like get myself immersed in new kind of educational, dynamics and so it was a very tough decision for me, leaving my, country to be here. But, thankfully, like the African Students Association I talked about, so they had a way of like engaging us, they formed a group and then added us, then gave us some orientation where we asked a lot of questions, because there were a whole lot of uncertainties, things we weren't sure about, me particularly, things I wasn't like very sure about. So most of the questions they couldn't answer. I remember I reached out to Dr. Goodleaf then. I mean, very amazing person. He was always like available. I mean, when I arrived here, I know one question I asked him was that I was like, how are you able to like attend to all of these our questions and our needs? I mean, it's just only one you. How do you do it? So so he was able to like, fill me in with you know, answers to my concerns and they were like very, very helpful to me, you know.
That is so funny. Yeah, Dr. Good,
And
he could really be four different people. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think one amazing I think okay, so part of the question you asked Caitlin is what surprised me, right?
Mhm.
So, getting here in my home country where I come from in Nigeria, like, professor student relationship, where you get to like your professor is up there and you are down there. And so first encounter with my professors was like, in fact, I was overwhelmed by the humility, like the humility when you want to enter their offices and you want to be very respectful but then they are trying to like keep you on your toes and like no you like so kind of like calmed me, that kind of like more like, gave me that reassurance that I'm actually in a very safe place, and a place where I'll be listened to, a place where ultimately I'll, get what I'm looking for without having any need to like be very fearful or like have phobia for, you know, any sort of thing. So that was very, I think I would also refer to that as a culture shock, like how really very humble and relatable most of our professors are here.
Yeah, sure. I know there are a lot of questions right now in the chat about, for some of our newly admitted students, asking when they will get funding offers or how to figure that out, as well as students who have applied but are still waiting on an admission decision. So to answer both questions, it varies by program on both ends. So for admission decisions, every program starts reviewing applications at different times. Some programs review them as they come in. Some review them on a weekly or a monthly basis. Some wait until after their deadline to start reviewing applications. It really does. We have over 160 programs, and every single program does it differently. And as soon as I find out how a specific program does it, they change it. So even for a specific circumstance, I might could tell you about the English program or the applied statistics program, but it may very well be changed. So some programs have already released decisions for fall of 2026, and some are still haven't even started reviewing those. I will say now is kind of the peak time of decisions being released. Typically, programs try to have all of their decisions released by March. However, some, don't release, especially for some master's programs, those aren't released till a little later. So definitely, if you haven't received a decision yet, that is normal. Don't panic. But definitely, if you haven't received a decision by, I would say March 1st, would reach out to the program director just to follow up, ask for an update. Because, you're welcome to reach out to the grad school and ask for an update, but we are going to tell you that we don't know either, and that is kind of the faculty within your program. And on the same end for funding, every program does funding differently. Some programs, once you're admitted, they also offer you funding. Some programs, once you're admitted, within a few days, they send you an email and say, hey, if you're interested in funding, now you need to apply for funding separately through this link. Some programs, they don't have funding at all, and you need to look for funding outside of the department, and you're kind of on your own. But every program is different. And definitely, if you're asking about, what's next as far as funding goes, wait about a week or so after you've received your admission decision. And then, if you haven't heard anything or received an email, I would, follow up with a program director and inquire, what's next steps for funding? Is there anything I need to do? What's the process? To see, because again, every program does it differently. And it may just be that the person who is over funding, they look to see who's been admitted. They just haven't, basically typed up your funding offer yet. So it may just be an administrative, delay. So definitely, receive your admission decision, give them about a week. And then, you can follow up to kind of see, what the next steps are. I'll also drop a link in the chat to the Student Jobs Board. And so if you are in a program that doesn't offer funding, or they may offer funding to only a handful of students, or they don't know if they're offering funding, or you may be interested in applying for an assistantship outside of your department anyways, because it may offer more money or a better experience or something like that. But there are several departments on campus that offer graduate assistantships to graduate students, and it may not um, be determined based on your program or whatever. They may, ask for certain backgrounds, like obviously if they want a grad assistant to do, websites and social media marketing, they probably want someone with a background in that. Now, if you're a math major, by all means apply, but there may be some certain qualifications in there, but it doesn't where, physics, they're probably only going to hire a teaching assistant in their program. So with this, you can look here, and if you're an applicant and you haven't been admitted yet, you're welcome to browse these positions, but you can't apply until you have received admission. And I will say they typically only post the jobs for about a week or two. So I would definitely set a calendar reminder, be checking that board every week. And then if you can also ask, your program director, are there any, because some assistantships aren't posted or not posted on this website. There may be some that the department knows about, or, maybe even a graduate ambassador in the program, or someone in a student organization knows about an assistantship that's coming open that they can share with you. So definitely, once you're admitted, start networking, start reaching out to get those opportunities. But I just sent a link in the chat to the student jobs board where you can look for grad assistantships as they come available for fall. But now is a good time that departments will start posting those. Between now and, April, they'll start posting assistantships that are open. But those are posted there as they come available. And those are those external assistantships that aren't necessarily, in your department. So I know we kind of went off the rails there. I will come back to the next question. But again, if you're just joining us, send any questions that you have in the chat, and we'll either answer them in the chat or we will answer them aloud at the end. So our next question for our panelists is, what are you involved in outside of class on campus?
I think I'll go first. So obviously I'm a graduate ambassador for the grad school, so that's what I'm doing. And in addition to that, I am the liaison officer for the International Students Association. And also I work with the International Students and Scholars Services, IESS, and I'm part of their International Peer Advisory Council. And what we do is we help newly admitted international students settle into the UA community, help them find useful resources that they can use to be able to navigate their new home or new environments, and also make new friends. And yeah, I think that is what I've been doing. And I'm also a member of the African Students Association. So we have a big African community here that we have a lot of events, and I've worked on various committees in the association. Yeah.
Maybe I'll go next, right? Yeah, thank you, Presley. So I currently working as a GA at the Research Assistant Service, Center for the College of Education. So I work there as a writing specialist. So where grad students, faculties, come to like consult for, their writings, like you want to like have some kind of professional look, at your writing. Like most students, especially like new students, new grad students coming into like sometimes writing can be very tricky. Like different professors want you to like write, in different ways. And also in terms of how to also use your citations, like you want to, someone who would give you a professional touch to like how you cite, how you do your referencing and all of that. So that's what I offer at the Research Assistant Service Center. I'm also an active member of the African Students Association. I last semester I just handed over, as the organizing secretary of the association. Just like what I am doing here right now, I'm also a grad school ambassador. So I engage with students, online. Um, like guide them through the applications. I've gotten a whole lot of emails. I know some of you here also participants must have one way or the other reached out to me, and it's really very exciting doing these things.
And then I'll go last. I am involved in being a teaching assistant here in the history department. That's actually the room I'm in. This is the room we use for classes. I booked it so I would have a quiet space. So I'm a teaching assistant in history. So I help out, I help teach the survey level classes. So I get to meet a lot of freshmen at the University of Alabama, which is so much fun. And then I'm also, last year I was involved in the Graduate History Association. I was the education chair for that last year. They do it every year, it changes. So last year I was doing that, helping provide programming for the history department department. And then I'm also a graduate ambassador. And so I get to respond to student emails and help out with events. And I absolutely love getting to meet a lot of you at Grow whenever everybody comes for the orientations. That's what I'm mostly doing on campus.
Great. So, tell us a little bit about, for all of you, the differences between being a teaching assistant versus a research assistant and things like that when it comes to both funding and then also kind of the day-to-day, even within being a teaching assistant, being an instructor of record versus other things. What does that kind of look like? And, how do you balance that too as being a grad student?
So for the most part that I am aware of, I think most times students like graduate students, I mean how it works for like most international students. Anyways, maybe I'll speak from this angle too. So when I came in, I came in on fellowship. So as a student on fellowship, um typically you're not supposed to, work like doing a TA or that's teaching assistantship or research assistantship. But even though then I still was able to like talk to my professor to like because I needed to like do something, I needed to like get more skills. So I was helping my professor out in in the research she was doing then. And like I said, typically most of the time you hardly see students like doing the both most of the time. So it's either for most graduate students, it's either you teaching or you're doing, research, um, um, in your department. So for me, I already, um, specified for how it works for me this semester. Currently working as a writing specialist at the RAS. And two semesters ago, I was working at the UAB. It was more like an external funding we got. So we were working in partnership with UAB College of Medicine. So we're working as graduate student evaluators for their College of Medicine, trying to like what we do there, we kind of like evaluate the programs they do there, like what like trying to like help the staff there do like a kind of trend analysis, the kind of interventions they use for the patients there, like evaluate it and then assess it and then see if they're making good progress in the interventions they are giving. And if they're not making good intervention, if the interventions are not working, then we'll suggest ways to like improve on those interventions. So for teaching assistant, I've never really done a teaching assistantship. I'm hoping to do that, but I am going to do that as a mentor, um, kind of a mentor teaching, next semester with the professor. So I don't know for Bridget and Presley if they've had, teaching experience. Maybe they will share more on that.
Yes, I can
Yeah.
answer that question about teaching. Oh, sorry, Bridget, you want to go?
Yeah. Sorry. Since Ife Naji mentioned my name, so I wanted to go. Yeah, I've been a TA since the very first semester. So I teach from fall, spring, summer, and yeah, that's what I'm currently on. And I would say it also depends on whatever you're assigned to do depends on your program. For me, I teach lab sections, so I facilitate labs, but there are pre-lab lectures that I have to give. And for me, I've taught 3 courses so far since I've been here, and they've been different as well. And I have to teach, I mean, make sure I'm meeting my teaching requirements. And also because I'm in biology, we do research. So I have to also carve out time for my own research and my own coursework or my own classes that I'm taking. So um it's not too difficult to do. You can do it. And mostly you don't teach every day of the week. So you have days that you have your own classes, you have days that you go teach, and then you can find time to work on your research. And your program also would have like um just maybe something to prep you for that teaching. So yeah, I think it's something that you can do, you can juggle through. Yeah. Sorry, Presley.
You're good. I love being a teaching assistant. It is so much fun. I had no idea I could love it as much as I do. The history department, the way it works for this specific department is you're a teaching assistant to these large lectures. So at schools like University of Alabama, you've got, 200 or 220 students in technically one class of a history survey. And then we have several teaching assistants, and we'll meet with the students individually, or we'll meet with them like in groups of 20. So usually each TN history department has about 80 students, which seems like a lot, but it's actually not. And you meet with them, you meet in groups of 20 once a week, 4 times. And you get to know these students over the course of the semester. You're their point of contact, you're also their grader. So it's a really good experience to learn how to be in the classroom, how to lead small discussions. And then you also have a supervising professor over you who's making sure you're doing the right things and helping you. And I know when I first started, I had a lot of questions about FERPA and emails and all sorts of things. And so that's one of the great things about being a teaching assistant is they get to walk you through that. And some departments, you also do get to be the instructor of record eventually. You have to have some departments you have to have a certain number of credit hours before you can be the instructor of record, but that means you would be the actual professor teaching the class. You'd be the actual instructor. I like being a teaching assistant because I get the flexibility to do my own lesson plans and things, then also have a professor over me who's making sure I do the right thing.
For sure. So speaking of assistantships, this question kind of ties into that that's in the Q&A. And so someone said, how do you cope with the financial stress? I know that funding in the US is not easy, especially those of us from Nigeria. And then there's another question, but I'll first ask the funding question. How do you, kind of cope with financial stress? How did you figure out kind of like your budget when you came to the US originally for our international students, but then also how do you live off of a GA stipend? If you kind of guys want to talk about that, and then I'll ask the next question.
That's really a very important question. If you remember, I don't know if whoever that asked the question, if you were here in the beginning when I started, if you were here, you would hear me say that I also considered cost of living while I was making choices, from the universities that, offered me admission. So for here, one thing I would, tell you for free is that Alabama, Tuscaloosa generally is quite affordable, place to live in. So like when I was on fellowship. Of course, typically, fellowship money is like, you know, really very how would I put it? Uh, Let me say much more than, what you'd earn as a GA or a TA. So then it was very easy for me. Then when I completed my fellowship year, then I was in my second year. My stipend dropped, a little bit, but I was still able to do it because maybe because I'm a very frugal person. So I do my planning. I already know the estimates. I know how much I pay for my rent, and I know how much I pay for my gas every month. Because these stipends come every month. So then my feeding, most times I stock, like I just go buy food. Sometimes I don't even buy food like until after 5 months because I just buy stock everything. Then the rest is just to like, do my daily expenses and all of that. But trust me, you'd survive. Like you'll be fine.
One thing I wanted to add is to maybe living within your means. I think that is something to keep in mind, and so that you don't spend money that you don't have, because it's a you don't no one wants to run into debt, no one wants to owe people and all. So just knowing how much you get each month and knowing how to spend it, living, buying things you can afford, and like if I said, stocking up if you need to shop in bulk, do that, and then yeah, you'll be fine.
I'm agreeing with everything that y'all said. I'm also going to add a lot of events on campus have free food, which is very exciting. So every time there's like this world-renowned scholar coming, usually there's food. So sometimes I go to those events just simply because I'm like, hey, it's a free meal and I get to meet a scholar and eat like catered Publix. It's great. So take advantage of the free food.
Sure. And so the next question in that is, how do you balance cultural differences and kind of coping mechanisms in a complex U.S. learning environment? So definitely for our international students, but I think too,
Mm,
Presley,
mm,
coming from a kind of a small private school, the differences here and at a large.
yeah, yeah. Interesting question too. Like very interesting question. So for me, one thing I that was tough for me when I came was navigating the blackboard. I have to be very honest with that. So navigating the blackboard was one thing because it's not something that I was used to, where I was coming from. But and I think it's one thing I know I suggested to my department, like if or even the grad school. I don't know if I've shared this with Caitlin before, like if we could hold like I think I've shared it with Caitlin like then if we could like hold maybe seminars or like training sessions, even if it's just for one day, to like, put new students, even some students within the locals, most of them are not used to the blackboard, and then they get confused as to how to navigate it. So it was one thing that was a little bit of a challenge for me then, but with the help of some of my friends, especially from people from Africa, they were able to like, put me through. Then I also figured out some myself. So within the first 2, 3 weeks, I was able to like, get very used to the blackboard. Then other things, the culture here, I don't know. It's so culture really encapsulates a lot of things, the food, very important too. While I was coming, I know I came with a lot of food that lasted me for almost a year, you know, So, and again, there are a lot of food that are also, even though not same, but I would say food that are enough to serve as, as improvised, you can be able to improvise a lot of things to like serve as almost the same thing as what you're used to, in your home country. So then in terms of the environment, I think I'm just blessed to be here because I always, yes, even though this place seems like I still see Tuscaloosa to be like a predominantly white, UA to be predominantly white, but it's like it feels like home too. Like people here are very welcoming. They are very um um the environment is just peaceful. It's just you wouldn't feel it feels like home. It feels like home really. It was one of the things that also troubled me when I was coming, because I have my friends in other states, in the country that, have like different experiences as I am having currently, that I was like, okay, but then I'm here, and I think generally I would say that um things don't feel the same as it feels at home, definitely, but like I always say, you'll be fine.
I guess I'll say as a domestic student, so obviously I wasn't going for the country here, but it kind of felt like a little bit when I first got here. Texas, I think it's Southern, and then I came here and I was like, this is not, or like Texas is not Southern, this is Southern. So everyone is super friendly, and I didn't expect that. And the other like fun thing about Tuscaloosa is like everybody loves Alabama. Like most people who live in Tuscaloosa love Alabama. So when I first moved here, like random people at like Walmart were like, "Oh, are you a student at university?" They saw me carrying lamps and everything else. Like, "Are you a student?" I'm like, "Oh, yes, I don't even know you, and you're talking to me about Alabama." So I think the school spirit is really fun here, and how you can be like going to the Walmart or Target or something and see the Publix, everybody's wearing their Alabama gear. And so I think people genuinely love the school and they get really excited about the students who are here. And then in terms of on campus, I was, coming from my small school, I heard stories like, oh, graduate school, it's this like cutthroat environment and everybody's the smartest person in the room and all of this. And that is not my experience at all. The professors have been so kind. And I always thought these like famous professors at these big state institutions were, untouchable. And they're actually wonderful people to work with. And there's a professor in the English department who spends 4 hours really going over your papers to help get them published. And I'm actually going to co-author something with him. So like a lot of professors are really genuinely invested in your education and they really care about you as a student. And so I just found it such a more welcoming place too than I expected. And you always hear these scary stories of grad school and competition. And a lot of the people I came in with in my cohort, even other cohorts, we've become best friends and we've gone on road trips together. It's like I don't feel that competition or anything. I honestly think a lot of grad students are here because we love to learn and we love school and we probably vaguely love Alabama.
Bridget, did you want to add anything? Oh, you're muted. Still muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, Ife has said most of it, like coming from an international student background, and Presley also said talked about my experience, like my experience coming here, my experience on campus. So yeah,
Yeah.
Alabama, UA is a really good place. You feel at home.
So the next question is, oh, I think that, well, I think Iffy may have submitted the thing, but it was really about um, the weather.
The weather, I think I've already attended to that question. I mean, very wonderful. And nothing very extreme here. I already said it's nothing extreme. Like it's
Yeah. And I think too, it depends on who's asking. Of course, if me being born and raised in Alabama, I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. But then for students who are even coming from other places in the South that don't have quite the humidity, they're like, oh, the humidity. But then when you have people coming from other parts of the world, they're like, oh, the weather's not bad at all. It's very, mild. But I will say oftentimes, especially in the next few weeks, we'll get quite a few emails from students or faculty, especially some international students who enrolled in northern schools that are, the northern part of the country, and they are from countries closer to the equator. And so they really didn't know what they signed up for in terms of the weather because right now it is very, very cold up north and there's snow on the ground. And they're like, "Ah, I want to transfer. I cannot live in these conditions." And I want to just tell them, like, yes, we would love for you to transfer here. However, if you'll just hang tight for another month or so, it will be fine. And then because if you come in August to Tuscaloosa, you would probably be emailing those northern schools saying, I cannot stand it here. I have to get out of this hot weather. But yeah, like I'll let Presley or Bridget respond to that too. But yeah, there's definitely doesn't get it
Yeah,
gets
I wanted to add, just in case you're wondering, we don't get snow a lot in Tuscaloosa, so maybe once a year or twice a year. So
I like that the winters are pretty mild. I mean, we do get some cold days, but I do like that it doesn't stay cold forever. When I was looking for graduate schools, I specifically had a part of the country I was like, it's going to be like southeast or southwest. Like, I am not going anywhere up north. I was not made for cold weather, like extreme cold weather at all. I hate snow. And so last year there was snow for 2 days and they canceled class, and it was beautiful. And it was gone, and I really like that. And I'll say one thing I like about this place, as opposed to as much as I love Texas or Florida, where I've also lived, you do get all 4 seasons. I mean, sometimes those seasons last a little bit longer, but like there are falls here, like the weather does begin to get really nice and you do have really pretty springs. And of course, summers are really long. But I do like that you do get all 4 seasons. You can actually use all parts of your closet, which is nice.
for sure. Yeah. So some of the other questions, and I think Presley kind of answered this question already, talking about going to Walmart and meeting people in the community. But what's the synergy between UA and the host community like?
I can just elaborate more. I think it's super friendly. A lot of people who live and work here are connected to the university or alumni in state, and so that's also really nice. If like most people you meet will say "Roll Tide" to you and talk a lot. A lot of people at my church are like, "Oh my goodness, you're a PhD student. Like we don't know what that is, but we love Alabama." I'm like, "Awesome!" So you get a lot of people who are connected to the university in the community, and that's also really nice. And I think the university also works a lot with different communities. I'm on a research project that works in West Alabama, so I've gotten to meet a lot of local ladies who run this really amazing historic site, small schoolhouse out in Pickens County. Did not know where that was until I was driving to it. And I've gotten to meet some just amazing community leaders that I did not know. And that's through a partnership at UA.
hey, just to add to that, if you're wondering as an international student, there is also the Tuscaloosa International Friends that they pair you up with they pair new students with local host families, and they organize a bunch of activities for us. I'm a member. I have a host family. So they organize a bunch of activities for us just to get to know each other, learn more about each other's cultures. And the TIF, Tuscaloosa International Family itself, organized several activities for us too. And we get to bond with domestic students and people from the community who are also members of the TIF. And so we are able to blend. And like Presley and Ife said, the people I love in here, they are really, really, really good people. They are willing to help you if you need assistance that they can provide, they'll provide it for you. And if they can't provide it for you, they will point you in the right direction. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know if Caitlin is going to ask the other remaining question because I was just about to answer it. Then I can go
Go
ahead
ahead.
to answer it.
You want
Okay,
to lead
yeah,
it?
yes. So that's Ebube Chukwu's question. So to your question, Ebube, actually you're not late. Like this question hasn't been attended to. The transportation system here is I don't know. So typically, most apartments I know within campus, even those that are relatively like a bit off away from the campus, usually have like school buses and they are free of charge, like free of charge. So depending on the apartment you get, they have the bus system rotating every 30 minutes. So for instance, if you have your class by let's say 1 p.m., you typically catch the bus like 12:30, and it's just for me, I stay at the lock. The lock is just like 7-10 minutes to campus. So it's a very smooth one here. Although we don't have like public transport system here, like typically how it is in most big cities. But the way the school bus system works here is it's really very flexible, and you'll be fine.
Yes. And can you guys kind of talk about too, because where we don't necessarily have a great public transportation system, but I feel that a lot of students end up, getting a vehicle after a year or two, or, kind of ride sharing and their friends carpooling together. Can you guys kind of talk about how you navigate,
Mm.
transportation in Tuscaloosa?
Interesting one. Interesting one. Just like I don't know who asked the question of how we're able to like manage our stipend, how the stipend is, it's to surprise you how you be able to do that magic when you come here too. So when I came here, another culture shock is that there is no transportation system, like public transportation system. But I had like amazing friends and the family I also have them the TIF that Bridget mentioned, they were very helpful, within the first few months that we came here. Then the African Student Association too, there will be a lot of volunteers that will be willing to take you to school, to do your clearance, to help you go to the bank, to open your account, to help you drive to Walmart to get food or cooking utensils. And with time, you would be able to like at least save up a little. Like most of us were able to like get our own cars like within a year, within 7, 8, 9 months. Like everything just has to be with like saving. And then a lot of um merchants, or what do you call them, like dealers can give you we have some contacts, like people that are willing to like car dealers that are willing to give you some cars when you pay um like when you are able to like how do you call it? I think there's a
Payments, yeah.
yeah, prepayment, yeah, exactly. Where probably if it's a car that is worth maybe 10K, you're able to like do like 3K, 4K, then monthly but you generally be fine. So that's how most of us are able to like navigate that process. Within the first few months, it won't be easy, but people are always willing to, assist you, especially if you identify with maybe a community. People here are just so wonderful. Like Priscilla was, I know, highlighting. They are very lovely people here. Sometimes also it could be your roommates. You could be lucky to have like roommates, even if the roommates is not from your country. Like my roommates are Americans, and they're always like they are wonderful people. So you should be fine.
And so, speaking of roommates, that is some questions that we've gotten about accommodations and things like that. And I know this is kind of a question for students, once they're admitted. And I will say for our students who are still waiting on a decision, or maybe you have already received your decision, but I mean, all of our info sessions are welcome to anyone. But we do have specific GRAD Connect sessions that are just for our admitted students. And so, actually, the next one that is coming up, I believe, for our admitted students is it's called Roommates, Rides, and Recreation in March. And so, well, the next one is actually for our international students regarding immigration steps. But the next one is roommates, rides, and recreation, and where we're going to kind of talk about, how to find a roommate, how to look for accommodations, how to navigate the transportation system. And then recreation is how to get involved, what you can do in Tuscaloosa. So definitely for those who are waiting on a decision or have already been admitted, definitely encourage you to sign up for that session and then all of the sessions in that new student series that we offer because we'll really get into the weeds of answering those questions for you guys and get that rolling. For that since we are running out of time. And I will say I sent something in the chat, but we are going to answer any of the questions that have been submitted. But unfortunately, if you submit a question after literally right now, we probably won't be able to get to it. I have to be in another meeting right at 2 o'clock. So I have to end the session right at 2. But again, I will send the grad school email in the chat, as well as a link to our graduate ambassador portal where you can find our 3 lovely ambassadors as well as all of our other graduate ambassadors where you can reach out to them directly, ask any questions, connect with them, and follow up with them and connect. So I'm going to send that too in just a second. But my next question for you guys, let's see if there's anything. Looks like, yeah, that's kind of questions that I can answer separately. So the next question that I wanted to ask you guys is, well, I can't even remember. I've lost the list that I sent you guys of stuff. So let's see. What do you guys do for fun? Are you involved in the community? What do you do outside of academic life?
So I can go first to that. So outside of UA, I'm a Bible study leader at my church, and I serve on Sundays and some of the college ministry nights too. I actually run into one of my students who recognized me. Goes, "Wait, I've seen you at church before." So I'm involved in that off campus, and then having friends. And I love to get to go to the Riverwalk and enjoy Tuscaloosa. I'm also a big antique shopper. I don't know if anybody else is, but it's so much fun. One thing about grad school that's so much fun is a lot of your friends have very similar interests, and a lot of people in English and history, we love old books and we love antique stores and things like that. So I've gone on road trips with friends that I've met here, and a lot of my friend groups, we all like to do a lot of the same things in Tuscaloosa. And there are also some fun cities around here that you can go to make day trips and things. So I went to Tupelo for a weekend. And so there's all sorts of fun little southern cities to get to explore as well on the weekends. So yeah, that would be probably my biggest piece of advice would be to make sure that you make friends and community here because it makes everything just even so much better too, to be able to have a really fun campus life and then to have a life outside of campus. I think it's really important to have that balance of both. I know when I first came to grad school, I was like, all I have to do is write all these articles and do all this. And it's like, wait a minute, no, I should be able to have friends and have a life and have community because it's way more fun to talk about all your research to like other people you've met here in town who have no idea what you're talking about, but they're like regular people. And I really like that.
Yeah, quite interesting. Just like Presley said, it's very important that you identify with the community, or you just as good as just making friends, making good friends. Like you know, um, yeah, making good friends. So for me, what I'd like to do for fun, this question is a very, I don't know. I'm just trying to distinguish this from the previous question, what you do outside
So before I
class.
was asking how you were involved on campus, but this is how
Mm-hmm.
you're involved outside. Like, what do you do outside of class? What do you do for fun?
What I do for fun, I love to play games. Like I said, I have my roommates, they're all Americans, and each day they always introduce me to new games, different types of board games and card games. So I love to play games. I love to travel too. I had a commitment that before I graduate from grad school, I must have traveled to at least 20 states in the US. I think I've done 5 so far. And sometimes I also like when I attend conferences. The conferences also is a good opportunity for me to like, visit the States. Last year I was in Colorado for a conference. This year, April, I would be at UCLA in California. So I love to travel. In addition to like studying, doing research, I love to travel. I'm also part of my church Bible study. I'm not really leading the group, but I'm just a member of the Bible study, so which also helps me connect um, to God. Like I like to think of myself as a spiritual person too. So yeah.
Okay, I also do quite the same things. I like to hang out with friends. We play card games, board games, and I like to watch movies and also travel either to the beach or see a friend in another state or go to the aquarium, things like that, just to get my mind off schoolwork.
For sure. So, as a final, conclusion of our session, just want to thank everyone for attending. I sent some links in the chat, to connect with any of our panelists here or other graduate ambassadors. Please email us if you have any questions at the grad school. And then be sure to sign up for other upcoming information sessions. Most of them are different every time. They have a different topic. So be sure that you're signing up for any that are relevant to you. But as we conclude, just want to ask our panelists kind of one last piece of advice to someone who is interested in coming to the University of Alabama or graduate school at all. What is just one piece of advice that you kind of wish you would have known before you started grad school or started the application process?
I'll go
So
first. Uh,
uh,
so one thing I didn't know was people are being paid to answer your questions. People are being paid to respond to your emails and any question you have. So I wish I knew that because maybe I don't think I've made a lot of mistakes, but things I worried about if I knew that people were just willing to give me information. I think I would have been less worried before applying or when I was coming here. So just don't think too much about what questions you have. If you have any questions, get in touch. You can email us, you can email the grad school, you can email your program coordinator, or if you find a professor you're interested in, you can email them as well. We just questions, but the only thing is just make sure that those questions you're asking have not already been answered on their website. Okay, so yeah, feel free to send questions. Okay.
okay, so for me, I'll just quickly say because I can see our time is running out. So I'll think I'll so this is going to be an advice. So I'm just like going to say that you should just make sure that you go into grad school, to enroll in a program that truly makes you happy. So I say this because grad school can come with its own, frustrations. And as exciting as it gets, when you're still starting, trust me, it can also be tough. So in order to be successful here, you have to, find out what exactly makes you excited, what makes you want to get up each morning to, go to work. And by going to work, I mean doing exactly what excites you in a very meaningful way. You have to find it, I mean, if you love what you do and, dedicate yourself to your work, trust me, you will gain that momentum. And each success, of course, will always create another success. So as much as you can, do something that you love. Just work hard and never ever give up. And trust me, you're going to be tremendously successful.
Well, I can't top either of those. So I'm just gonna say grad school is gonna be so much more fun than you can realize. You have no idea what's on the other side of your application. So I would say just embrace it, embrace this waiting period, and then just know that there's so many fun things. I can't believe all the things I've gotten to do in the past 3 years that I didn't even know existed when I did my application. When I got to meet Caitlin for the first time, I had no idea I had a whole world, a whole life in store for me that I didn't even know existed in that moment. So just embrace it.
Sure. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to hop on this session for us. This was recorded. The first 2 minutes was not, but we tried to get the recordings up on our YouTube page within a week or so of the session. So if you missed the front end or would like to rewatch and hear my lovely accent that I have, it will be on the graduate school YouTube page here in the next week or so. But again, please reach out if we can assist you in any way. Like Bridget said, we get paid to answer your questions, and that is also true for the ambassadors. They get a scholarship. So be sure to ask them any and all questions that you guys have. We are happy to help you guys, and look forward to seeing your application or seeing your admission come through soon. And on three, I guess we'll say what we're supposed to say, right? 1, 2, 3. Roll
Roll
Tide.
Tide.
Roll Tide.
Come on, guys. Y'all were supposed to know. All right. Thanks, guys. See you.
Thank you.